It's money trying to buy the game.
Yeah.
It's trying to buy respectability. The game of golf we played was because we loved the sport.
Absolutely.
We never played it for money.
You reach an age like 85 and people assume you're supposed to fade quietly into the background, sit in a soft chair, sip something warm, and spend your days staring at old trophies collecting dust. But aging doesn't feel like retreat. It feels like remembering. And what comes rushing back isn't the wins or the headlines. It's the people. The men I watched, the men I battled, the men who shaped how I see this wild, beautiful, and sometimes painfully lonely game we call golf. Golf forces you to meet yourself with no buffer. You stand on that tee box alone, no teammates to bail you out, no one to blame when the ball curves into a place you never visualized. That loneliness sharpens your eyes. You start noticing everything. The way another player walks toward a shot, the way his chest rises before he commits to the swing, the way he swallows disappointment or turns nerves into focus. Over decades, I learned as much from the players beside me as I ever learned pounding balls on the range. So when you ask me to name the 5 golfers I admire most, it isn't some quick list I can recite like stats on a scorecard. It's like opening a drawer full of old memories, some warm, some heavy, all meaningful. Each of these men marks a lesson, a season, a turning point that shifted something inside me. And at this stage of life, I feel a responsibility to share those truths, not as a speech, not as some polished documentary narration, but as a simple conversation between you and a man who lived long enough to understand the value of the people who walked the fairways with him. And the story always begins with Ben Hogan. I don't think golf has ever seen another man carry silence the way Hogan did. The first time I watched him, it felt like the entire course held its breath. His presence wasn't loud or attention-seeking. It was absolute. He moved like someone who had already made every decision deep inside himself long before the club reached the ball. It didn't feel like equipment anymore. It felt like an extension of his will. Long before I ever stood near him, I knew Hogan was the one man in the sport who simply refused to quit. Everybody knows the story. The car accident that should have ended his career, the injuries that would have stopped almost anyone else. But the part that always stayed with me wasn't the comeback itself. It was how he never demanded applause for it. He didn't want sympathy. He didn't want people to admire his pain. He came back because that was his nature. Work, refine, repeat, try again. He lived in that rhythm. Watching Hogan up close teaches you quickly that talent can carry you a long way, but resolve can drag you into places talent doesn't even know exist. His discipline hit me harder than anything else. Hogan treated practice like a craftsman treats his tools, with respect, patience, and a quiet fire. He repeated the same motion so many times that it looked effortless, but that effortlessness was a complete illusion. Every swing carried weight, history, and a standard he set for himself long before anyone else expected a thing from him. That standard forced the rest of us to raise our own. You couldn't watch Hogan and then show up casual about golf. I remember standing close enough once to hear the strike of his iron, and the sound was different. Cleaner, sharper, almost stamped with his name. You could close your eyes and still know it was Hogan. That's when I realized something important. Greatness isn't always charismatic or loud. Sometimes it's quiet, razor-sharp, almost severe. Hogan showed me that excellence is a private battle fought long before crowds ever show up. And years later, I finally understood the deepest lesson he left me. Willpower isn't about forcing your way through every problem. It's about choosing, day after day, to become the kind of person who can stand in front of those problems without breaking. Hogan didn't just overcome hardship. He transformed it. His strength wasn't that he endured pain, it was that he refused to let pain write his story. Whenever someone asks what Hogan meant to golf, I tell them this. He reminded us the game is earned, not gifted, not lucked into, but earned shot by shot, morning after morning, until the grind becomes part of your bones. Looking back with more years behind me than ahead, I see clearly that Hogan shaped the way I approached not just golf but life. He set the tone for a generation, including me. And because of that, he always comes first. But after talking about a man built almost entirely of discipline and internal fire, it feels right to shift to someone who changed the sport in an entirely different way. When I think about golfers who altered the world of the game, Tiger Woods rises up almost instantly. I remember the first time I saw him striding down a fairway. There was a charge in the air around him, sharp, focused, undeniable. It told you immediately he wasn't just another young talent. He was something else. He moved with the confidence of someone who knew the road ahead when the rest of us hadn't even found the map. What struck me immediately was his intensity. Tiger did nothing halfway. His preparation, his fitness, his mental discipline, it all felt like it came from a blueprint no one else had access to. We thought we knew what hard work was. Tiger showed us we'd only scratched the surface. Being good wasn't enough for him. He needed to explore every corner of what greatness could mean. By doing that, he forced the whole sport to evolve around him. I remember those periods when he looked untouchable, like he was playing a different game entirely. When Tiger stepped over a shot, crowds didn't just hope to see something special. They expected it. And the incredible part, he delivered over and over, in moments that would have crushed most players. Pressure didn't chase him. He chased pressure. But what impressed me most about Tiger wasn't the highlights, it was his willingness to change. He rebuilt his swing multiple times, reshaped his body, adjusted his mind, rewired his entire approach even when he was already the best in the world. Most players hold on to success once they find it. Tiger tore his success apart and rebuilt it stronger. That takes a courage most people never see. And then there was the presence. Tiger could command absolute silence without saying a word. A crowd that buzzed with noise for everyone else fell into a deep, almost sacred quiet for him. They knew they were watching someone rewriting the rules of the game. Yes, he faced challenges, more than most. But his greatness isn't some perfect, unbroken path. It's resilience. He fell, he rose, he fell again, and he rose again each time with a deeper fire. When people ask me why Tiger belongs on my list, I say this. He stretched the limits of the sport, and once limits stretch, they never return to their old shape. Now, after talking about power and precision and the fierce pursuit of greatness, I want to shift to someone entirely different. A man of imagination, instinct, and pure artistic flair. Whenever I think of the beauty of golf, the kind that can't be taught or measured or boxed in, I think of Seve Ballesteros. Seve made crowds freeze because you never knew what he might do next. And half the time, I don't think he knew either. That was the magic. He could find a recovery shot where no shot existed. He could turn trouble into theater. If Hogan was discipline and Tiger was dominance, Seve was pure creativity. Watching him was like watching golf painted in colors most of us didn't even know existed. And that creativity came from freedom, a fearlessness to experiment, improvise, and trust his instincts even when logic said otherwise. But before I continue his story, I'll pause here. After talking about Seve's genius, the wild creativity that turned golf into something almost poetic, it feels right to shift to a man who carried a completely different kind of magic. A man whose name has been tied to mine for so long that sometimes it feels like our careers grew from the same root. Arnold Palmer wasn't just a rival. He was a force, a presence, a human storm of charisma and courage. When folks talk about my career, Arnold's name shows up almost as often as my own, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Long before I understood what his influence would mean, he was already the heartbeat of the sport. When you were paired with Arnold, you knew you needed to be ready. Ready for the attention, ready for the pressure, ready for a gallery that surged toward him like a wave. The atmosphere changed when he stepped on the tee. But the part that struck me wasn't just how he played, it was how he carried himself. Arnold had a presence that felt warm and human, open and honest. He connected with people in a way almost no athlete ever has. Fans didn't just watch him, they believed in him. They felt like they knew him personally. They felt included in his story. And yet, inside the ropes, kindness transformed into ferocity. Arnold was a competitor in the purest sense, brave, determined, and fueled by emotion. When he was behind, he attacked. When he was ahead, he attacked even harder. He didn't play safe. He didn't protect a lead. He played boldly because that was who he was. I remember walking down a fairway beside him one afternoon and realizing something that changed me forever. Rivalries only become bitter when respect is missing. Ours was built on nothing but respect. We battled because we believed the game deserved our absolute best. That shared belief pulled both of us higher than we would have climbed alone. And as the years passed, rivalry became friendship, quiet, deep, and enduring. Even when the crowds cheered for him so loudly that I could barely hear my own name, Arnold treated me with complete fairness and incredible grace. Moments like that shape you. They teach you how to carry yourself when the world is watching, and even more importantly, when the world is not. Some of my most meaningful memories have nothing to do with lifting trophies. They are of walking next to Arnold in silence, understanding each other without speaking, two men giving everything they had to a game that asked for everything in return. People sometimes ask how I feel about being linked to Arnold for so many years. My answer is simple. I'm grateful. Being connected to someone with his heart, his fire, and his integrity wasn't a burden. It was a privilege. And now, after talking about charisma, heart, and emotional courage, it's time to speak of a man whose legacy in my life came from something entirely different: discipline. Gary Player has been part of my story for so long that sometimes it feels like our careers were sewn together stitch by stitch. And when I think about Gary, one word rises above all others: discipline. Pure, relentless, unwavering discipline. Gary never took a day lightly. Not in competition, not in practice, not even during the quiet walks between shots. Everything he did was intentional. His training made the rest of us look lazy. While most players were still rubbing sleep from their eyes, Gary was already working, lifting, stretching, refining, preparing. Back when fitness wasn't even a topic in the sport, Gary was living it. Eating right, training hard, caring for his body like it was the engine that powered his whole life. Because of that, he stayed strong long after most players had faded away. He proved that longevity isn't luck. Longevity is earned. And his mindset might have been even stronger than his body. Gary had the uncanny ability to stay positive in moments that would have broken many players. I watched him face lies buried deep and rough, winds that could knock you sideways, rounds heading in the wrong direction. Almost anyone else would have gotten frustrated. But Gary, he'd smile, settle himself, and move forward like the challenge was something he welcomed. That attitude wasn't naivete, it was discipline of the mind. A refusal to let the moment dictate his spirit. One memory stands out clear as the day it happened. He was slipping down the leaderboard in a tournament where everything seemed to be going wrong. Most players tighten up under that kind of pressure. But Gary got calmer, more focused. He didn't wait for momentum. He created it. He clawed his way back into contention with a mix of grit and grace that made the rest of us stop and watch. That moment taught me something huge. Momentum isn't a gift. Momentum is a decision. Our friendship grew through long flights, shared practice rounds, and endless conversations about life, the game, and how to keep improving. We couldn't have been more different in some ways, but we understood each other because we understood exactly what golf demands from a person. Being around Gary pushed me. When someone works as hard as he does, you don't want to fall behind. You want to rise to meet the standard he sets, not because he expects it, but because excellence inspires excellence. Beyond his work ethic, what I appreciate most is his generosity. Gary never kept what he knew to himself. If he learned something that could help you, he shared it. Not to brag, not to lecture, but to lift you. That kind of spirit stays with you. It changes you. It reminds you that the game is bigger than your own career. Gary taught me to honor every day, to treat my body and the sport with respect, to stay grateful, to stay disciplined, to stay hungry. And when I look back at the 5 men who shaped me, Hogan, Tiger, Seve, Arnold, and Gary, I see something clearer than ever. They weren't just great players. They were mirrors. Each reflected a different part of what this demanding game requires from anyone who loves it deeply. Hogan taught me commitment, the kind that begins before dawn and ends only when the work is done. Tiger reminded me that the game never stops evolving, and neither can we. Seve showed me that imagination belongs in golf as much as precision does. Arnold taught me heart, to compete with fire but to treat people with grace. And Gary taught me to respect the gift of each day, to prepare my mind, body, and spirit for whatever the course puts in front of me. When you blend all of those lessons together, you realize something important. Golf isn't really a sport about power or perfection. It's a sport about character. Built on patience, honesty, resilience, and humility. Built on the understanding that the course always has another lesson waiting. And now, at this stage of my life, gratitude feels different. Deeper. More honest. I used to think legacy was about trophies or records. Time has corrected that belief. The true legacy of these men isn't measured by leaderboards. It's measured by how they carried themselves when no cameras were watching. It's measured in the small moments when character speaks louder than talent ever could. Each one stumbled. Each one rose. Each one kept moving. And each one treated the game with respect. In return, the game revealed who they truly were and guided me toward who I needed to become. That's the gift they left me. And it's the gift I hope to pass on to anyone who believes this sport is more than numbers on a scorecard. Golf shapes you in ways you don't recognize until years later. Standing here now, with more memories behind me than ahead, the game feels softer, wiser, and somehow even more beautiful. People ask what keeps golf alive after all these decades. The answer is simple. The people. The ones who leave pieces of themselves behind every time they swing. Hogan, Tiger, Seve, Arnold, Gary, they weren't just champions. They were storytellers. They each wrote a chapter of this sport's soul. And whether you ever hold a trophy or not, you become part of that story the moment you step onto the grass. That's the magic. It welcomes you, tests you, humbles you, teaches you, sometimes all in a single afternoon. So if my voice carries any weight after all these years, let it be this: honor the game, honor yourself, and don't rush the lessons. Golf gives them slowly, but they stay with you forever. And if you love the hidden stories of golf, you're in the right place. Golf Mode TV will bring you more of them every week. These 5 men entered my life exactly when I needed them. Not because fate demanded it, but because this game has a way of sending you the right teachers at the right time. They helped shape me, not just as a golfer but as a man. And if you're a young player listening, here's my final piece of truth. Don't overlook the people around you. Watch them. Learn from them. Let their strengths lift you. Let their flaws remind you that everyone is fighting the same beautiful struggle. In the end, golf gives you exactly what you put into it. Nothing more, nothing less. Give it everything.